Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever it is that you are watching this live stream from. Just while I'm waiting for a few of you to jump on, can you see me? Can you hear me? And is my screen up the right way? That's important to know. Am I live streaming the right way? Hello, Joe. It's good to see you. Let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me, if my screen is the right way around. Hello, Jody. Hello, Katrina. Hello, Nikki. And I'm a big believer in, hey, Jodes. Hey. I'm a big believer in how we do anything is how we do everything. So one of the biggest things about this program and Happiness Aid is gratitude. So before we get into tonight's live and the hour of power or the happiness hour, whatever you want to call it, what are you grateful for today? Like, what's the thing that you're grateful for? So Katrina says, I'm grateful for being here and seeing you tonight. That's beautiful. I'm grateful for you as well. You're all good, thank you. Hey, Jules. Hello, guys. Hey, Legend. Hey, Adam. See and hear you perfectly. Awesome. So what are we grateful for here tonight, everybody? Let me know. My screen may have just went a little weird. Hold on. Maybe that's a little better. Perfect. Hello, Jason. Hello, Peter. Hello, Lorraine. Or Lorraine, maybe. I see you guys all tagging people up. Good to go. School, I'm back. Woohoo. Yeah, for the parents that kids went back to school today, I'm sure you're feeling a sense of ease. Hello, everybody. Good to see so many people on. Jody says, I'm grateful for Jules, Happiness Co. and Happiness Aid. Well, thank you. I'm very grateful for you as well. Guys, tonight you are in for a wild ride, I should say. So make sure you have a pen and a pad. Natasha says, I'm grateful for coffee, drinks in my car today. Hey, Jules says, Rob, I'm grateful for catching up with some friends. For the rain, says Andrew. How good's the rain, Andrew? Just generally, how good's the rain? Hello, Val. Good to see you. So tonight, what you're going to need to get through this next hour is a pen and a pad. And I'm going to speak super fast. Bonding with my son. I love that. Adams, I'm grateful for the best version of myself and not losing my shit at someone today. These gratitudes are going so fast. I'm grateful for living in a small country town. Grateful for food, grateful for wonderful people, all wonderful gratitudes. So please make sure you have a pen and a pad. I'm going to say write this down a lot. And we're going to start with this right now. Write this down. How tough are you? Like, how tough are you? And when I say tough, I mean that ability to deal with adversity in your life. How tough do you think you are? So 10 being the toughest, firepower, I'm so strong I can get through anything, kind of 10. Or 1 being I struggle to feel strong and I struggle with dealing with adversity and problems and challenges in my life. Like, how strong do you believe you are? How tough do you believe you are? And that is a question. So how tough are you? And please write your score down. And I'd love you to share it with me. And there's no right or wrong answer. You could be a 10, you could be a 9, you could be a 5, you could be a 1. There's no right or wrong answer to the question. But how tough do you believe you are? And if you could put it in the comment section so everyone could see, and I'll take you through why this is important in a second. So Adam says 9, Jason says 5, Jody says 5 at the moment. Yeah, it could be right now in this actual moment. Doesn't matter about yesterday, doesn't matter about tomorrow, about right now. Julie says 8, Katrina says 7. Hello everybody, good afternoon. Val says 8, Emily says 6, Angela says 8 at the moment. JR. Janika says 10. Shush, I'm writing this down, says Natasha. Nikki says 8. So how tough do you believe you are right now in your life? And the reason why this is so very important is you are so much stronger than you think. Like, if you think about all your challenges that you've faced, 7 and 7, says Rebecca and Simone. Natasha says 7. If you think about all the challenges that you faced in your life to this point, to this point right now, then you would realize that every single time you've been met with a challenge that has brought you some kind of adversity, you found a way to overcome it. And maybe you've made some bad choices, and maybe you got it wrong, and maybe you weren't perfect in the process. But what you do learn is how incredibly strong that you are. And you've survived 1,000% of your worst moments to today, which is what this whole thing is about. Happiness versus fear. And what is the difference between fear and happiness? Well, I'll take you through that tonight about why fear cripples us and why happiness frees us. And what's the difference and how do we get trapped in both? Because fear matters. And if you have a good relationship with fear, so please write this down, relationship with fear and relationship with happiness. Every single relationship that you have in your life matters. If you have a good relationship and you respect that relationship, then you'll value how you treat it. But the problem is with fear, people have a poor relationship with it. And we fear the things that we don't understand. We fear the things that make us feel uncomfortable. We fear the things that make us feel a sense of discomfort and uncertainty. So how can we ever really have a strong relationship with the things that we fear if we run from them? But the point is, if we can build a great relationship with the things that we fear, then we have a sense of respect and value for what they bring to our life. And I mean that. You can never respect something that you don't value. And you can never value something that you don't respect. And it's how you see it, right? Change the way you look at something and what you look at changes. But fear comes in a bunch of different ways. So please write this down around fear. Fear, we call these universal fears because ultimately people around the world, and I've now been fortunate enough to work in 10 countries, over 50,000 people around the work of mindset, human behavior, and why we do the things that we do. So we call these universal fears. So number 1, the fear of judgment. Number 2, the fear of being rejected. And number 3, the fear of not being loved. So write these 3 fears down. The fear of rejection, the fear of not being good enough, and the fear of not being loved. These fears drive us because we all want to be loved. We all want to be enough. And no one wants to be rejected. No one wants to feel like they don't matter. Everyone wants to know that when they go to bed at night, they're enough for someone else. But these are the fears that cripple us. And then you go further again, which is the fear of success or the fear of failure. So please go on to write down the fear of success. So the fear of succeeding in your life and what that means to yourself and the people around you. And the fear of failing, which is the fear of trying and falling straight on my face and then people thinking I'm not good enough. People again rejecting me, or maybe a sense of not feeling loved because of it. But we also have that when we fear success. Maybe I'm still not going to be good enough for the people I love. Maybe I'm still going to fear rejection. And that's why I'm, always sensing, a sense of validation and, significance from others. And maybe I still don't feel like I have people love me. And you can walk into a room full of people and feel completely alone. You can have a lot of money and feel so very lonely. You can have incredible amounts of Facebook followers and Instagram followers and still not like yourself. Who you are matters, and how you see yourself is the most important thing of all. But you can't just have the good without the bad. You need context, right? You need the bad to appreciate the good. You need the unhappy to appreciate the happy. You need the sad to appreciate the joy. You need sometimes that level of heartbreak to appreciate the love that you have in your life. So it's what you do and how you find that rhythm. And I want you to find this word and write this word down, rhythm. It's how you find the rhythm, that yin and yang of both happiness and fear, love and hate, good and bad, because we all possess the powers to do good and we all possess the powers to do not so good. But it all comes from one very important thing, taking individual responsibility about the choices that you make. So fear is what I just mentioned. That's the crippling part of it. But happiness is what I call fulfillment. Fulfillment is how you feel about yourself. So please write this down. Fulfillment is how you feel about yourself. The last person that you go to bed at night to is yourself. And the first person that you wake up in the morning to and say good morning to is yourself. And the relationship that you have with that person matters. The confidence you have in that person matters. How proud you are of the person you are matters. Most of our life is a mirror. It's how we assess ourselves. It's how we feel about ourselves that determines the choices that we make. That determines the way we treat others. That determines what we look for in life. But most importantly, determines who we become. So in these times of uncertainty and fear and struggle, we still have a chance to work on our fulfillment, which creates our happiness. And when we're happy, we take better action. When we're happy, we're more capable. When we're happy, we're more efficient. When we're happy, we're better communicators. Everything leads down to how you feel about yourself. Because if you're feeling good, your self-esteem grows. And I want you to write this word. Your self-esteem matters. Self-esteem, self-respect, and self-acceptance. If you can have and grow your self-esteem, your life will change in magical ways. If you can work on your self-respect, which is how you allow other people to treat you, but most importantly, how you treat yourself. And then the third, self-acceptance. Doesn't mean that you like where you are, but you accept that you are here and then you can move forward. So you've got to accept where you are. You can't change something that you refuse to accept. So if you fear something and you refuse to go through the process of understanding it, then you'll never be able to accept it. If you can't accept it, you never change it. So nothing happens by chance, only by change. Like nothing just happens because one day you wake up and you get lucky. I believe luck comes from hard work and how you grow and change and work on the things about you that allow you to become more resourceful, more skillful, and have that ability to overcome your problems. Your problems will never go away. You just get better at dealing with them. Your problems will never go away. You just get better at dealing with them. I know this firsthand from the problems I had when I was a young boy to when I was a young man to the person I am now. I still have problems, they're different problems. But I get better at dealing with them along the way because you become more resourceful. You become more aware. You can become more wise. And I want you to write this down because this is one of the most powerful affirmations that I use. Self-talk. And I'm going to give it to you, but I want you to write it down and think about what it means to you, which is, I will be whatever I will to be. I will be whatever I will to be. I'll repeat it one more time, so please write it down. And if anyone's typing fast, please type it in. I will be whatever I will to be. So it's not assigned to the outcome. It's not assigned to the thing that you have. That's why it says whatever. But you will be whatever you decide that you will to be. And will is deep inside of you. Will is that hunger. Will is that drive. Will is that thing that has always allowed you to overcome everything in your life to this point. That time when you thought you couldn't and you did. When someone said you can't and you found a way. When people said you weren't good enough and you found a way to make it work. When you thought that you were failing and you found a way to learn and succeed. When you thought that you were going to give up and you still found a way to dig deep inside you and find that will to win, that will to succeed and push yourself forward. In every challenge that you've ever faced, that is that will. So, I will be whatever I will to be. And I wonder what that means to you right now going through these challenges. Well, whatever you will to be through this time is exactly what you'll become. What you think about is what you become. What you focus on expands. So, be careful what you choose to think about. And remember, the only thing that grows in your life are the things that you give your time and attention to. So if you give your time and attention to the things that are causing you pain and frustration and a sense of suffering, it's exactly what you'll create. But if you're giving your time and attention to the things in your life that will bring you joy, will bring you gratitude, that will bring you love, will bring you a sense of will, that will and wisdom that we get. And any single time in your life that you dig deep enough, you'll find that will. That will to do incredible things, that will to overcome, that will to give yourself permission, that will to always be brave, that will to always be courageous regardless of outcome. Because there's no guarantees of outcome in this life. And if anyone tells you they can guarantee the outcome of tomorrow, they're lying to you. There is no way to guarantee the outcomes of tomorrow. So, the only thing that we can do is to drive our will to be brave, regardless of outcome. To drive our will to be courageous, regardless of outcome. And every single day of your life, you're either making choices towards that person that you want to be, or you're making choices away. So think about it. If you've had a long week before at work and you've come home and you've opened the fridge and you've cracked a bottle of wine over the bottle of water, or you've opened the cupboard and there's a chocolate bar and you've had that over the banana or the apple, every single day in our life, we're making choices towards or away. In a relationship, we're either being honest with our partner or being dishonest. In our life, we're either going full out or not going full out. Like, everything you do is around choices towards or away, even in this time right now. And there's no excuse not to work on your choices. You are met with choices every day of your life. And how do you become better at making them? Well, you just got to make the ones towards the person that you want to be. Because you can always be authentic. Like, you're not always going to get it right, but you can be authentic in the process, which is, what do I want? Who do I want to be? Where am I going? So that's why will is so important, that will to move forward. And every single person in life has a problem, has a challenge, has something that's causing them a sense of adversity, right? So I want you to write this down. We have two types of problems. Every single person has two types of problems. We have internal and we have external. So this is the thing that creates that fear, that sense of unknown, that worry, that doubt in our lives, that fear of not being able to overcome, that fear of getting it wrong, that fear of falling short, that fear of letting the people down that we love, that fear that we're a failure. That fear that we're not good enough. And that is the biggest fear of all, that we are just not good enough. So we all have problems, so internal and external. And I'm going to take you through this in a second, but external problems are things like money, are things like relationships, are things like career, are things like health, are things like yourself, are things like your kids, are things like your hobbies, your friendship circles. These are the things that reflect your external problems. And every single person on the planet has similar or the same external problems. But they are not the ones that buckle you. They are not the ones that cripple you. They are the problems that you've been facing your whole life and have found a way to overcome. The problems that cripple you are the internal ones. So my question to you right now is, without me telling you, when I say internal problem, what do you think I mean? When I say internal problem are the things that cripple you and disempower you, what do you think I mean when I say internal problem? I'm going to leave it to you to answer these questions. If external problems are the things I just mentioned before, career, relationships, friendships, money, health, yourself, your kids, your life, the external factors that come with that. What do you think I mean when I say internal problem? Your thoughts, says Jody. Feeling not good enough, yep. Perfect, says that's perfect, Emily. Self-doubt, yep. I'm just waiting for them to come up. Self-doubt, negative self-talk, 100%. Inner critic, perfect. Self-esteem, yep. Things I cannot control. Not believing in yourself, perfect, yep. Not worthy, 100%. So you're ultimately understanding the point is that the internal stuff is the damaging part. The self-esteem, the not being good enough, the negative self-talk, the way you behave towards yourself. They are your internal problems. And I want you to think about your life being two worlds. The external world, and it has all the rules and all the things that make your external world work. And then there's the internal world. That matters so very much. You are a representation of who you are. Everything that you look for in life is a representation of who you are. Everything that you do in life is a representation of who you are. And please understand this. There are two things that you can't change in this world. The things that come out your mouth and the things that you do. There are two things that you can't change in this world. The things that come out your mouth and the things that you do. So, you have to get better at the things that come out your mouth and you have to get better at the things that you do. But it all works on how you manage these internal problems. How you ease them, how you navigate your way through them, and how you build that will to be able to be more than them. And asking yourself great questions is one of the most powerful things that you can do. If you ask yourself silly questions, you'll always get silly answers. If you ask yourself dumb questions, you'll get dumb answers. If you make stupid statements, it's exactly what you'll start to believe. So, for people that know me and the people that don't know me, for the people that know me well enough and have been enough in my programs and work with me for a while, you would understand this about my story. So, when you think about these challenges that you face, it matters based around what I'm about to share with you, which is how you choose to see them, like how you choose to let them affect you, how you choose to buy into that story around emotion, story, and behavior. So please write these three things down. Emotion, story, and behavior, which is the emotions that you feel, the stories that you tell, and the choices that you make. Every single person on the planet is designed the same way, which is we feel, we think, and we have a story, and we act. Depending on how we choose to feel, and depending on the things that we allow ourselves to feel, determine the things that we tell ourselves, and the stories that we may allow ourselves to think about or not think about, and then determines the choices that we make. So the answers that you ask yourself matter. So if you say, why do people always hurt me? You'll find an answer to why they do. If you ask yourself why you're not good enough, you will find an answer that supports why you're not. If you ask yourself, why are you not good enough? Why are you not smart enough? Why are you not good looking enough? These things will only give you the answers that you seek, which is to reaffirm and reconfirm that you're not enough. So when I was 21 years old, I lost my father to suicide. He took his own life. And that broke a part of me that I never thought I would fix. the way I felt, the story I told myself, and the person I became because of my choices. I never thought I could find a way back to the person I wanted to be. I never thought I could find love and kindness and joy and all these things in my life. And one of the biggest factors in that was the questions I asked myself or the statements that I made, which are things like this. He's never going to see me grow up. I don't even know if he was proud of me. He's never going to see my kids. I didn't even get to say goodbye to him. He didn't even get to say he loves me. Did he even love me at the end? I wish I could have given him one more hug. I wish I could have made it okay. And the point is that these comments and these questions would have never led me to happiness, because at the end of the question or the end of the statement was only misery. So you have to find yourself better questions to allow yourself to overcome. And please write this down, because it is incredibly important to the things that you do. You are only as free as the options you have. You are only as free as the options that you have. And what does that mean? When I say you're only as free, based around the options that you have, or who creates the options? You. How resourceful are you? So I wasn't free from my story of my dad because I didn't have enough options. The only option I had was to tell myself a story of what I had lost, or what I had less of, or what I'm never going to have back in my life. That story didn't serve me. That story kept me trapped. So I didn't have enough options to get out of it. But who creates options? Us. How resourceful that we become. How we work on being more than our problem. So the most important question, and the only question that you should ask yourself, is this question. It doesn't matter what challenge you face in your life. It doesn't matter what struggle that you have. This is the only question that is worthy of your time and attention. So please write it down. If you ask yourself this question and you answer it and then you act on it, your life will change again in the most empowering and inspiring ways. The question is this: who do I need to become? That's it. Who do you need to become? Who do I need to become to be bigger than the coronavirus right now as a business owner? Who do I need to become right now as a partner? Who do I have to become right now as a to soon be dad? Who do I have to be right now to be a great friend, a great work colleague, a great leader, a great speaker? Who do I have to become right now to be here with you? So the question is, who do you have to become to overcome? Who do you have to grow yourself to be? Because every single day of your life you're growing. You may not see that, you may not be aware of it, but you are. You are growing, you are changing, you are developing, but it's what you are changing and developing and growing into that matters. So, if you ask yourself who you need to become, you start to look at your resourcefulness, which is, well, how do I look internally, into my internal world, and use my emotions? Emotions are emotion, power. How do I use that level of emotion to drive change in my life? Because this is the truth. Where your focus goes, your energy flows and your results will show. Where your focus goes, where you put your mind, where you put your time and your focus will represent where your energy goes. And because of that, that's where your results will show up. And how do we know that? It's called RAS. If you've never heard of RAS before, it's called Reticular Activating System. Ultimately is what you look for, you will find. Whatever you seek, you will find in your life. If you're looking for the bad in people, it's exactly what you'll find. If you're looking for all the bad things in your life, it's exactly what you'll find. If you're looking for all the terrible things in your partner, you're going to find all the terrible things in them. But if you're looking for the good in people, it's exactly what you'll find. The good in the world, the gratitude in the world, you'll find these things. But if you're looking for the best in yourself and you're looking for that ability to fight and have that will to overcome, then you're exactly what you'll find. You'll show yourself that you have done more in your life than you actually believe you have. Like, you're always bigger than your problems and you're more than your mistakes. I repeat it. You are always bigger than your problems and you are more than your mistakes. And you're the proof of that. I don't need to convince you of it. You are the proof of it. And that's the thing. I don't have to give you permission for you to be great. You already have permission because you already are. It's about tapping into all the things that you already have, that internal strength, that internal drive, that internal wisdom. And I'm big on this. Sometimes in your life you need expert advice. Sometimes in your life you need expert advice. And who's that? You. The person looking back at you in the mirror is the expert. Too many people seek broke, sad, unhappy, miserable people to help them with their life. Like maybe right now, because you're uncertain of all these things, you're going out and seeking support from people that are also struggling. Well, don't do that. Maybe you're going to friends that are also lonely to ask for advice. Don't do that. Maybe you're going to ask financial problems to your friends that are struggling financially. Don't do that. Find people that can help you grow in the right ways towards the person that you want to be. If you don't have these people, find new people. There's always people that can help you, but most importantly, the best person that you can ask for advice is yourself. And you know how you do that? You get out of your head and you get into your heart. You get out of your head of what other people want you to be, or what other people tell you should do and how you should do it, to live a life that they want you to live. But you get out of that and you get into this, which is, what would love do and what would love say? If you want to truly understand how to take the best advice from yourself, then get out of here and get into here, out of your head into your heart. What would love do and what would love say? Because that allows you to navigate your way through something with a sense of compassion, a sense of empathy, a sense of understanding, and most importantly, a sense of appreciation for who you are. This is a powerful tool. This is a powerful, unique thing that you have that allows you to be so very, very powerful if you choose to use it. If you get stuck in your head, you're dead. Honestly, if you get stuck in your head, you are dead, because we worry about fear. It takes over our concerns, our mistakes, our worries, our doubts, all the things that we've done before. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we don't like what we see. We look at the choices that we make and we beat ourselves up for it. And then we live in shame and we live in guilt and we start to live in what I call these disempowering emotions that control our ability to feel that we can make good choices and become the person that we want to be. You know what? As I said before, you've got to be brave, you've got to be bold, and you've got to be often. If you want to get through this and not just survive and you want to thrive, then be brave, be bold, be often. I get it, trust me. My company has been so dramatically impacted financially by this coronavirus, but it doesn't change the way I get out of my head and get into my heart. What would love do and what would love say? Who do I have to become? It doesn't stop me from being the man I want to be. The brother I want to be, the son I want to be, the partner I want to be, the dad I'm going to be. It doesn't stop these things. Nothing can take these things away from you. So please write this down. The things that are already inside of you can never get taken from you. It's really important. The things that are already inside of you can never get taken from you. Yeah, you can lose some relationships, you can lose some money, you can lose some things along the way, but they aren't actually the things that matter. The things that matters are, when you go to bed at night, are you proud of yourself? Did you live from love today? Did you contribute to the people that you cared about? Did you contribute to your own life? And these are the things that matter. These are your drivers. So remember, the questions that you ask yourself matter. The choices that you make matter. You make about 30,000 choices a day. So please write this down. You have about 60,000 thoughts every single day of your life. And out of these 60,000 thoughts, you make about 30,000 decisions. And I'm going to take you through how to unpack this in a second. Before I do, the next tip is attitude. Your attitude always reflects your altitude. You've got a poor attitude, you're going to have poor outcomes. You have poor attitudes towards your life, you're going to treat your life that way. If you're a pessimist about everything, then your life is going to be that way. And we know this about what we call momentum thinking and optimist thinking. You know, people that are optimistic quite often have better outcomes. People that are optimistic quite often are more positive. People that are optimistic are generally easy to deal with. It doesn't mean they're always right and always perfect. It just means that they use their mind and their emotions to be that things will always get better. So your attitude matters. So please write this down. Attitude and then this. What determines a good attitude is these two things. The things that you say to yourself. The things that you say to yourself. And secondly, the things that you choose to believe. So what determines a great attitude are the things that you say to yourself and the things that you choose to believe. So if you have a poor attitude, I wonder the things that you're saying to yourself. If you have a poor attitude, I wonder what you choose to believe, like it's not going to get better. I'm failing. I'm a bad mum. I'm a bad dad. I'm a bad partner. I'm too old. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm never going to be worthy enough. These things that you start to believe represent the things that you choose to say to yourself, which represents your attitude. And you'll never thrive in your life with a great attitude if you're feeding yourself absolute BS. And I mean this. When I say BS, I mean bullshit. When you're feeding yourself absolute crap, that's not even true, to allow yourself to believe in something that is absolute nonsense. You are more than enough. You are more than worthy. You may have started to believe that you're not because of what the world told you you're not, or people said that you're not, or the things that you have believed you've failed in your life, but they aren't the representations of the things that you truly are. So don't ever let the world put its limitations on you. That's the number one. Don't let other people put their limitations on you. You are more than enough, but only if you're brave enough and bold enough to give yourself permission to be that way. So that's attitude. It really does matter in everything that you do. And there's one thing that you can take away from this webinar or this session tonight. Please take this. Self-talk. Self-talk. Master self-talk. And it's a compounding thing, right? It's the more you do it, the better you get. Self-talk matters. You have to master your inner chatter, your inner game, where you focus, where you put your time, where you put your attention, what you're allowing yourself to say about others, what you're allowing yourself to say about yourself. Master your self-talk, and it will start to open up incredible opportunities in your life to see things differently. Change the way you look at something, and what you look at changes. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So right now, things may be challenging, I am brave, and I am strong, and I have the will to overcome. So even though my external world may be challenged, my internal world is still on point. And that's what you need to do. Think about a big ass tree in the ground. There's big strong roots right into the earth. And yeah, a big storm may come through and may blow some branches away and snap some branches and some leaves and all that kind of jazz. But it still stays strong. It's got firm strength into the foundations of what you are. Foundations matter. They are the foundations of the person, the belief, the rules, the outlooks that you live by. So to give you something to work on, I'm going to give you some questions, because this is going to allow you to ease your way through fear and ease your way through adversity and overcome. So question number one is this, which is what I mentioned before. But get really clear on what the problem is. So number one, define and get really clear what the problem is. People say to me all the time, and I've been working in this space for 5 years, as I said before, work with I think about 50,000 people. People always tell me this, Jules, I'm so unhappy. And I said, what are you unhappy about? I'm just unhappy. Well, life's not that simple. You can't just be unhappy. There's some things in your life that you're unhappy about if you actually give yourself the time and attention to think about it. So if you're miserable, there's a reason. If there's something wrong, there's a reason. You may not be aware of the reason, but there's always a reason for the things that we do, the way that we feel, and the things that we think about. So the first thing is get clear on the problem, the external problem. So if it's money, if it's your career, if it's your relationships, first get clear on the external problem. The second thing is a little harder. Get clear on the internal problem, so the feeling. So an example may be, I'm going to use Happiness Co. So the external problem is Happiness Co. is struggling because of the financial hit that it had from Corona. That's the external problem, right? Fair enough. The internal problem may be, I'm so scared I'm going to lose everything I worked so hard to build. I'm so scared I'm going to fail the employees that work there. I'm so scared that if I fail, people will think I'm a failure. That's the example. So external, my company. Internal, the things I may say to myself that are causing that self-doubt, that self-worth, that challenge with who I am. That's the first thing. So number one, get clear on the external problem, get clear on the internal problem. Just write them down. Don't think about it too much. Number two, determine the worst thing that could happen. I mean this. Determine the worst thing that could happen. So, external problem is Happiness Co. financial impact. That's the external problem. The internal problem is I'm scared. The worst thing that could happen is that my company goes bankrupt and it's no longer there. That's, to me, the worst thing that could happen in this scenario, right? So you identify the external problem, you identify the internal problem, and then you identify the worst thing that could possibly happen in that problem that you have. So if it's a relationship, you may get divorced or you may break up. The worst thing is that you may get so unwell and so unhealthy and so sick that you maybe at some point pass away because you haven't looked after your health for long enough. So what's the worst thing that could happen? You may lose your house. You may lose your business. You may lose the things that you've worked so hard to build. What is the worst thing that you believe that could happen based around the thing that you're scared about or you're worried about? Really important. Number 3, accept. Accept that's a possibility. Accept that it's a possibility that you can fail in it. Accept that's a possibility that your company may go under, your relationships may break down, you may go broke, you may become homeless, you may get so sick that you die, you may lose everything that you worked so hard to build in your life. Accept the worst that can happen. It doesn't mean it's going to happen though, that's the truth. But you've got to accept it. Remember, you can't change something that you refuse to accept. And then number 4, which is probably the most important. So please write it down in capitals. Take action. Take massive action as if the worst scenario happened right now. Take massive action towards the thing that you believe is the worst thing that can happen. So act from a way. Act and make intentional decisions right now from the worst thing that can happen, because then you're so ahead of the game. Guess what? You're not dying. Guess what? Maybe your relationships isn't broken up right now in this moment. Maybe your health is still on point. Maybe your company has still got a fighting chance. Maybe, just maybe, if you find that will to win, you'll start assessing it, looking at it, anticipating, and making decisions from what I said before. You're only as free as the options that you have. You are only as free as the options that you allow yourself to have. So once you accept, you give yourself an incredible amount of options. How I want to behave, what I want to do, how I take massive action by living through the lens of the worst thing that could happen. I mean this. When Happiness Coach struggled, when I found out about these things that were happening, I accepted the worst that could happen. And the next day I woke up and started making choices like I was acting from it. It doesn't mean I was being all pessimistic and miserable and sad and worried. But what I did say is, I'm going to make choices that if I want to survive in life, I've got to burn the boats. If I want to survive in life, I've got to find that will. If I want to be a great leader, a great manager, a great spokesperson for the community, I've got to find a way, I've got to find a will to overcome. And it's an incredible motivator. I promise you this. It is an incredible motivator in your life. I'm just going to turn the light on because it's going to be a bit dark. Okay, I'm back. But it's an incredible motivator. So, number 1, recognize the problem. Number 2, find out what you think is the worst thing that could happen. Number 3, accept the worst that could happen. And number 4, take massive action as if the things that you fear so much have happened. Because guess what? You've got to anticipate and act. Great leaders, great dads, great wives, great mums, great people, great leaders of their life anticipate the challenges and they act accordingly. And if you want a cool acronym for ACT, it's this: action conditioning therapy. So in your life, think about the action that you take is based around action conditioning therapy, to take action to condition your life to heal. So you are incredibly resourceful. You're incredibly talented. You can find that will. So use that action. So if I was taking action to do push-ups, I would condition myself to do more. If I was taking action to run a marathon every day, I would start to run a little more. Everything that you do in life, including your emotional well-being, your emotional mindset, your self-mastery, will come down to how you try and strengthen your action to take conditioning to the next level in your life. And you are only as good as your standards. If you want your life to change in this time, you want your life to get better, you have to get better. I mean that, and I mean that with love. If you want your life to change, you have to change. If you want to get better, you have to get better. If you want things in your internal, external life to be different, then you have to raise your standards. How you show up, your routines, your rituals, what you demand of yourself. How you become more resourceful, how you work on what I said before. You're only as free as the options that you have. Great leaders, great people have lots of options. Doesn't mean they're always the ones that are going to work. Doesn't mean that options are always going to set you free, but options allow us to look at our lives subjectively. And when you start to look at your things subjectively, you start to think about them differently. You start to think about yourself differently. You start to believe that maybe you can overcome and you will overcome. And if you can be brave and be bold and be often, then you will. And that's the sense of that will, that component that will drive you through these challenging times. And the way that you've got to see fear is this. What is fear trying to tell you? What is uncertainty trying to tell you? So I have done this for a long time. Is I think about my emotions as people. Has anyone ever seen the movie, I can't remember the movie's called. It's with Will Smith and his child dies. Maybe Collateral Beauty. I can't remember. But he's Will Smith, his daughter dies. And he starts to write to love, time and death. I've done this for maybe 6 years and I've always thought about my emotions as people. So remember, if you value something, you'll respect it. If you respect something, you'll value it. So value and respect your emotions regardless of how they make you feel. So I have a great relationship with fear. I have a great relationship with uncertainty. I have a great relationship with doubt. But I also have a great relationship with love, joy, fulfillment, being proud. I have a great relationship with all these different things because fear is trying to tell me something. Uncertainty is trying to tell me something. Pain is trying to show me something. So if you try to ignore it and run from it, and we are very good at avoiding and distracting the things that make us feel pain. True? Think about your life. You are very good at avoiding the things that make you feel pain and they make you feel a sense of discomfort. So we run from them. But that's not the way to heal. The way to be able to heal and the way to become powerful is to build a relationship with them. And this is how you do it. So if you live in fear and you let your problems become bigger than you, this is what happens. It's called drain versus love. So you're going to have to write this down to remember it because like an acronym that we use at Happiness Code to explain to you how you navigate your way through drain versus love. So if you live in fear and your problems become bigger than you, then you'll be stuck in what we call drain. And drain being like your life is going to get drained from you. Your energy, your enthusiasm, your attitude, everything that you want in life will start to drain from you. And you'll start to fall apart. So D is you start to disconnect. If you spend all your time in fear and all your time in worry and doubt, you'll start to disconnect to the things that you care about, the things that you love, the things that you do, your job. You'll disconnect from people, but most importantly, you'll start to disconnect from yourself. So the first step is disconnection. You'll see it in your life. Number 2 is R. You start to become reactive. In your head, you'll be stuck in fear and you become reactive and you'll snap at people and you'll say the wrong thing and you'll make the wrong choices and then you'll start to beat yourself up about the choices that you made because you reacted and you said and did the wrong things that hurt other people and yourself. You become reactive. You make poor choices because you're in the midst of chaos. You're in the midst of pain when you made it. Or you're in the midst of anger. If you've ever tried to talk to someone when you're angry, think about the outcomes that you get. You don't get great ones. So you start to react. A is you start to avoid. So D is you disconnect. R is you react. A is you start to avoid. You start to avoid things that you know you should do. You start to avoid conversations. You start to avoid showing up. You start to avoid stepping up and being powerful. You start to avoid all the little things that matter, that used to matter to you. Because now they've become too difficult. Or now they've become too hard. And it's like you put your time and attention to thinking that's too hard for you, so you start to avoid them. Then I is you start to get stuck in your head. In your head. I said this before, if you're in your head, you're dead. If you start spending too much time in your head, you start to get stuck in the stories of your life. The pain, the past, the mistakes, the worries, the things that you can't do, rather than things that you can do. N is neglect. N is neglect. If you neglect your health, you get sick. If you neglect your finances, you get broke. If you neglect your relationships, you'll break up. You neglect yourself, everything that matters to you will fall apart. Neglect matters. We neglect ourselves the most. We also neglect our finances and our relationships. We neglect so much, but the biggest thing that we neglect is ourselves. And we cause the most harm to ourselves. Self-harm based around the things that we believe, the things that we do, and the choices that we make. And how we choose to kind of suffer in our own BS and our own silence around the things that we truly want. You get to become bigger. So that's drain. D-R-A-I-N. Then love is the antidote. I believe that love is the antidote to most things in your life. Because life isn't always easy, but it's worth it if you work on the right tools to get you through. I'm just trying to work on this light. Hold on. It's getting a bit dark in the old cone light. Maybe that's a bit better. Maybe. Hold on. Maybe not. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. But love is the antidote, right? So love is letting go. So L, to let go. Let go of the things that have hurt you, the mistakes, the pain, the suffering, the sadness that may have caused you some conflicts along the way. So L is to let go of yesterday. Let go of the pain, the heartbreak, and be brave enough to let it go. Some people hold on to their pain for so long and create their identity based around it. Let it go. O is to open up, be vulnerable. Talk to some people. Talk to some people about how you feel. Talk to yourself. Write it down. Get it out. Get it out. Let it go. Open up. Be vulnerable. There's no shame in being vulnerable. There's no shame in being open. There's no shame in sharing that you're scared, accepting that you have doubts. But there is a problem when you stay there. There's a problem when you're stuck there. There's a problem when you're not willing to move forward. So O, and V is for values. Live from your values. Make good choices based around the person that you believe that you are. Please understand this. Your values will fill voids. Think about voids being holes or gaps. Your values fill voids. So if you're feeling weak, well, be strong. If you're feeling uncertain, we'll create certainty. If you're feeling doubtful, then find a way to overcome. Because you believe in your value of who you are. You believe in the value of what you can do. You believe in the value of being brave regardless of outcome. And you're only as free around the options that you have. That's V. And then E is engage. So an easy, simple acronym. E is to engage. You think about engaging in anything. Engage in a process. You start to build a connection. Then you start to build connection, you start to get rapport. Anything is powerful or possible in the power of rapport, Anything is possible in the power of rapport. If you start to trust yourself because you engage in the process, you start to build a connection and rapport with yourself to earn that sense of trust that you can overcome. A lot of people have lost that ability to trust themselves. Trust the choices they make. Trust that inner voice. Trust their intuition. Trust what would love do and what would love say. Trust their own advice. So engage in the process of understanding how you trust yourself again. Let yourself know that you are possible, that you can overcome. And all challenges present opportunities. That's the truth. All challenges in your life will present opportunities if you look at them through the lens of self-mastery and growth. All your challenges are opportunities if you look through the lens of self-mastery. So how can I master this? And how can I better myself? And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know it may seem easier in theory than it is in practice. But every single day you get to wake up and turn it all around. Every second of every day is a chance for you to wake up and turn it all around. You're not what happened to you, and you're not what has happened to you, or what people have done to you. You're who you decide to become. By being brave, being courageous, and being often. But you may say, well, Jules, I've got a broken heart. I'm really struggling. Okay, I get it. You can be broken-hearted and still be brave. You can be broken-hearted and still be courageous. You can be broken-hearted and still contribute. And do you know how I know that? Because I still have a broken heart. People say, well, Jules, how did you heal your life to be the person that you are now? How did you move forward after all the things that you had gone through? After losing your dad and losing your way? I say, well, you know what? There's still a part of me that always will be a little brokenhearted. There'll be a part of me that will always be a little scared. There'll be a part of me that always wishes I could go back and change the outcome. And there's not one part of me that doesn't miss him and doesn't feel bad at times for the choices I made. But I can still miss him and be brave. I can still recognize my bad choices and be courageous. I can still be brokenhearted and still live in love and make good choices towards the person I want to be, because I gave myself permission. Not what you gave me permission to be, what I gave myself permission to be. Because too many people spend too much of their time trying to seek validation and approval from people in their lives. You have to say, well, what is going to make me happy? What's going to give me permission? What's going to allow me to move through and navigate the person I want to be? Because if you live through the lens of other people's vision of you, then you'll always be stuck in what other people want from you or want you to be, rather than what do you want. And then you'll start to live in regret. And I always say there's 3 types of people. Number one, the person who watches things happen. Number two, the person who wonders what happens. And number three, the person who makes things happen. Too many people get stuck in the first two. I wonder what happened. How did I get into this miserable relationship after 10 years? Like, how did we get here? Or you watch things happen. Like, you look after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that passes you by, and you wonder how you got there. Be the person who makes things happen. And I'm going to wrap this up because we're nearly at an hour. I was only supposed to go for 45. But make sure you are the person that makes things happen. So before you go to bed tonight, do that activity. Write down the 4 things that you are worried about. The fear, the internal, the external. What's the worst that could happen? Accept the worst that could happen and then wake up tomorrow and act from the worst thing that could happen from that mindset. Because I guess what? When you are pushed and when your chips are down and when you feel like you've fallen over and you've failed, a failure, a setback gets you ready for a comeback. And that's where you find that will. When you are so truly tested in your life, when you feel that you can't go on, when your life's against the ropes, your mindset, your heart, your intuition, that resourcefulness that you have available, you step into will. And will always allow you to tap into that internal wisdom that you've always had, that make you possible, that gives you permission to be brave, to be bold, and to be often. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. I cannot wait. I will be doing more live streams in here, different sessions about different things. But this one tonight was all about how to overcome fear and choose happiness. Happiness is in you. Remember, no one can take from you what you already have. Believe in it, see it, and act from it. Good night, and have an awesome evening.